Hello everybody. In this video, we're going to be doing a Plat 2 chamber VOD. One thing that I want to go over most of the time with players, no matter what rank, this number is really important because this is your next round money. So what you want to do is you want to buy down to about 4,000 or 3,900. One of the things that I want to talk about is the usage of utility on your eco round. So in this round here, our chamber is using $300 in the form of both of his trademarks here. So he's using $300 to try and slow the enemies down or try and watch the enemies. Now that's a problem because that's $300 that you're not going to get back. And next round, you're going to have to use those $300 or buy those $300 of util if you end up losing this round, which, you know, you're kind of expecting to lose this round because, you know, you're on an eco and the enemies have won the first round, so they're gonna have better guns and armor. The reason that we don't want to be spending $300 and using our $300 is because a lot of the times that's just going to go to waste. You can jump this trip. I don't think knifing it was necessary. It just kind of tells the cipher that you're there. Another thing is you could have recalled your teleporters, but I don't think they would have made much of a difference in this situation. But actually, this is a great lesson. Look at this. Like the next round, you now don't have enough to buy all of your trademarks. What I would do in this situation is not buy up your headhunters, but instead buy up 2 trademarks and just keep your 1 headhunter shot so that you have your 2 trademarks for sight take. See, just like that. Exactly. Now you're doing the exact same teleporters. These aren't awful teleporters, but they probably could be improved on a little bit. I think you should put this teleporter in a more hidden spot. That trademark's not bad either. I like that trademark spot. It's pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of holding top middle. Wait. Brother. All right, look, they just darted B site. Look, they just used utility towards B site. This is indicative of them going B site. So why are we rotating and pulling our teleporters back? One other thing that I want to say is never run towards an enemy's smoke with your knife out because you're just waiting for an enemy to swing you and just get a free kill on you. Make sure that you always have your gun out when pushing towards smokes. Let's talk about this. How can we play this better? First things first, it's not that you are just holding W, but the main issue is if you look at your teammates here and then you look at you are the only person that is readily available for the enemy team to kill. And that is the biggest problem. Not only do you have your teleporter up in 2 seconds, but your teammates aren't ready to retake. So your Skye and your Raze and your Reyna aren't ready to use their utility to assist you in retaking the site. And instead you're going really quickly and the enemies are taking that opportunity to force you into a 1v1 position and get the kill on you. Now, even if your teammates win this, you still almost lost your team the round because you decided that it was time to retake before your teammates were ready and it got you killed there. So the main thing that we can learn from that round is that we need to be waiting for our teammates to be ready before we actually start going on to site. Your teammates are all going to be buying as much as they can. And one tip that I can give you is if you win the round, you're going to want to buy heavy armor and either all of your headhunters or a Vandal if you can, obviously. Spectre and Bulldog aren't the worst guns right now. Those are also alternatives to be buying instead of just your headhunters. But on a round like this, you want to buy as much headhunters as you can. You can buy below 3,900 because you guys won the last round and you are expecting to win this round. I'm going to go for the pick in top mid. You should ADS here if you're going to try and get this pick here. Now, the real reason that I don't like this is because you only have 6 shots and you need to make all of those count if you're going to actually, you know, try and get a pick. So ADSing here is really important. Also, just going for that one shot that's a headshot is really important. I like your patience here with your shots. You're not just spamming and trying to get some damage on them. You're trying to get that guaranteed headshot, which is really good. All right, now we pick up our teleporters. Where do we go now? Rotate back towards middle. Seems like you're a little bit impatient with your teleporters. You don't like know where to use them and you don't know how to set them up. So one of the main tips I can give you is that your teleporters, you want to like figure out a place that you're going to play pre-round and then just kind of be there the entire time and then bait them into peeking you in your teleporters. Now, one thing that I would say is whenever you are low health like this and you have your teleporter, the best play that you can do is setting up a teleporter here in spawn, then running back site B and setting up a teleporter, and then just sitting in back site B with low HP, waiting for the enemies to take site. And what that'll do is it'll allow you to be in back site B where the enemies aren't expecting, and then as soon as they start planting, you can go for 1 or 2 kills and then immediately teleport out, and then you guys will be in a really advantageous spot. So there's no real need for you to constantly be trying to take duels and get kills here, especially with 7 HP, as it's likely just going to get you killed if you take a duel. So you want to be positioning yourself in spots where the enemies aren't able to, readily shoot back at you. You want to be kind of cheesing the enemies. Make sure we're setting up our teleporters and trademarks before the round starts so that we don't have to waste time mid-round doing it. A lot of the times with chamber, thinking ahead is really important, and it is not something that's super easy to do, and it's not something that you should just immediately be able to go into the game and get down. So I don't blame you for not being amazing with your tellies, but it is something that you should be working on pretty often. Now right here, you aren't expecting anybody else to be on site, and that's a big issue, mainly because your Sky is fighting the Cypher here in main, so you're like, okay, the last person's probably here. Now that's a big issue because the last person is most certainly not there. So whenever you're peeking an angle, for example this angle right here, you don't want to pre-aim. Like, you never want to pre-aim. You want to keep your crosshair locked on the corner, and what that'll do is it'll allow you to keep your crosshair right here, and then as soon as she peeks you, your crosshair will already be on her head, and all you need to do is counter strafe. You're doing these exact same 2 tellies pretty much every single round, and while they're not the worst teleporters, again, you can do a lot better. So one of my favorite teleporter positions is, and we're going to just look at the mini map right here. So what you want to do is you can keep this market teleporter here, and then you put your second teleporter right here in this corner. Now this allows you to cut down on the entire rotation through CT. And if, for example, you see Cypher top middle and the Reina flashing A site, all you have to do is teleport over to A site, and then you have a really fast retake going on. But instead, you go all the way through CT here, and it takes you so much longer to rotate than it needs to. It's a really good job going with your Sky, making sure that the Reina doesn't have an opportunity to take a 1v1. I like that you're following her though. This is really good. Good trade. See, this is why we play together, guys, is because if you're with your teammate, then you can bait them and figure out where the enemy is, and they can't kill both of you at the same time. Good shots. Really good patience on your shots here. You're not panicking. You're not crouching immediately. You have really nice patience with your shots, and you're not just like throwing your mouse everywhere. I like that. But yeah, you can see why having these static teleporters is not really beneficial. And if you ever watch a chamber game of mine, you'll see that I almost every single round place different teleporters. Oh my goodness. Wow. You have really good patience, man. I like this. This is what Plat 3 players should aspire to be like when aiming. You see how he doesn't like immediately start shooting? Like, look, watch this. He sees the Reina, and he still has 25 bullets. Now, this isn't something that Plat 2 players do often. You can see he still has 5 bullets. This is so good. This is perfection. This is a little bit of reading skills that we're gonna learn here. So when you see 3 people in middle and 1 pushing top middle and your Sky over here, this is going to signify to you that they're going to go A site. If there are 4 people right here, they're going to go A. So at this point, with your Viper smoke in middle and your Raze absolutely inting her brains out, that means you should go right through CT all the way to A site. It's much better to put yourself on top of a site and let the enemies come to you where you have a better positioning than it is to try and retake. So learning that fast rotations are more important than just fighting the enemies in mid or trying to retake a site is so much better. God, your patience is fucking admirable. Genuinely admirable patience. You see how you're using your TPs here? This is really inefficient. So instead of pulling your teleporter out and then looking for a position to put it in like you are now, what you want to do is always keep your gun out, figure out your 2 teleporter positions, or just figure out one position and then the other, and then you start placing them down after you know exactly where you want to place them. You never want to be caught with your utility in your hands. But again, really good job placing your teleporters down here though. This is a solid spot. And again, look at this patience. This is really good. Although you did whiff, it's not your fault, okay? It's the fucking game's geometry, dude. This like little lip here, look at this. This goes down, like watch. You had the perfect pre-aim right here, but the game's geometry cucks you. You had this shot. It's not something you can predict because the game has geometry, like a literal millimeter. If you had shot like half a second sooner, before this Cypher literally just teleported an inch downwards, you would have gotten the shot. You can see that instead of committing to the spray, you shot enough bullets, and then as soon as he turned at you, you pull away, which is really good. And then you wait for your teammate to start shooting to peek. Dude, seriously, how are you Plat? This is really good tactics. Plat 2 players. Everybody take notes. Start writing shit down. This is really good. The only problems that I'm currently seeing is that you have a lot of static teleporter positionings. Also, your crosshair seems a little bit lazy. I'm assuming that right now you are looking at your map instead of like looking at the game, and that's completely fine. But in a position where you are like in the open middle of arches here, looking at your map is a little bit detrimental. You want to get into any of these covers before you start looking at your map. Dude, your sky is a fucking mad lad. What is this guy doing? Look at him, dude. Look at him. What the sky doing, bro? What the fucking sky doing? Okay, so there's two things that I'm thinking about the sky. So sky is either number one, cheating, or number two, abusing lower ranked players because he's smurfing. The main fucking thing that Sky does here is she literally just runs it down right through middle, zero care in the world, no utility, nothing. And then she runs behind the enemy. She's abusing lower ranked players' ears and how they don't work. One thing that I noticed that you do a lot, Diesel, is you don't really ever switch up your positions. This game, it's not super necessary because your Sky's already doing it. But if you have the time, Mango, I would honestly rewatch this VOD. Just watch what the Sky is doing. What Yunsung says in chat, last 3 rounds, I'd probably switch your position towards A. They've ping-ponged every single round. And what ping pong means is they've gone A, B, A, B, A, B, and it's very, very easy to read your enemies. So what you want to be doing is switching up your in-game position at the start of every round so that you can kind of predict where the enemies are going. And that is a really, really good strategy. I don't know if you guys know who Daznirth is. He's a little freaky boy. Regardless of how freaky Daznirth is, regardless of how cringy the judge is, he still has a really good strategy of every single round, he literally writes down where the enemies go and what they do. And honestly, it's a really, really smart idea. If you out loud say enemies like went A last round and then B this round and then A last round and then B this round, like it tells you their patterns. And that's more than enough to just win a game, is just kind of being able to know where the enemies are going to go before they actually go there. Whenever I'm smurfing, for example, I have such an easy time reading what the enemies are doing just because I notice their patterns so much quicker than, you know, say like a normal Plat player would. I can just constantly read where the enemies are going before they actually hit the site and then, you know, already be there before they show up and win the round for free. So that is a really, really good strategy that I think you guys might want to try and implement into your games. You'll notice that if I took a screenshot of every single first 5 seconds of the round, you would be holding this exact same position. And that's an issue. So make sure that it's not a picture perfect freeze frame every single round at the very start of the round. That's kind of a good tip to break your habit.